Hi there, good morning. Welcome to the trade setup right here on BloombergQuint Live. It's the festive season, so festive greetings to all of you. We won't be here tomorrow for the trade setup because the markets are shut. But remember, just a shameless plug out here. If you want to hear some interesting conversations on Twitter, there is something called Twitter Spaces, and we will be talking to Shankar Sharma and Sunil Singhania tomorrow on Twitter Spaces at about 4:40 to 5 p.m. So just before the motor trading starts, you might want to log in on Twitter and hear the Spaces conversation. It's a short 15-20 minute conversation with two interesting people, so might be fun. Nevertheless, let's talk about trade today. The FOMC meeting slated to happen today evening. It's taper time. I would reckon that the Fed is widely expected to announce that a bond program, which was of course expanded all through the last few years, will now kind of has done its job, and as Ramdev Agarwal told us in the BQH session or event, that maybe the markets are now so well prepared for it, and this decision has been so well telegraphed across all across all related parties, if you will, that there will not be any repercussions of the same. Sorry, my specs have some dirt around them. So there won't be any repercussions around the same. So I doubt that there'll be, hopefully there will not be too much of a dramatic reaction. But if you see this chart on the Bloomberg terminal, it shows that technically, according to some measures, the S&P 500 or the US stocks at large might be ripe for a pullback. Now, could the Fed do the doing, or could it be something else? The RSI does indicate it's overbought. How strong a pullback it is, if it is a pullback, is a question. Let's wait and watch. Remember, overnight the US markets did well and at record highs, so all of that stays. And I reckon that the Asian screen, as we see today, would also be placid, a tinge of green out there. So no surprises, I reckon, from the world markets at large in the session today. Yeah, as you can see, flattish moves, really mixed, if you will, but largely flattish. And the SGX Nifty should come up on your screen next. I really doubt that the Indian markets in particular will have a dramatic move up or down. So for now, likely to start off flattish, and probably that is what is anticipated for the rest of the day. I'll tell you why. Just before we get to the trade setup, the MOV function on the Bloomberg terminal, which will show us what the markets did in trade yesterday, broader markets, Nifty 500, more so on the market breadth as well, which was positive. We had strong reactions from a bunch of things, including Sriram Transport, a bit of a delayed move there, but 10% higher post the numbers. Real estate continues to rise and shine. If there was one stock that had not moved, was Indiabulls Real Estate, and rightly so. Indiabulls Real Estate has this overhang of 2 or 3 events likely to or waiting to happen before it moves. But yesterday it did have a big move. But then, interestingly, like I said in the trade setup yesterday, twin views out there, but 8% higher. Maybe people are watching it or viewing it as the cleanup act done from the company. Let's wait and watch how it shapes up. On the flip side, PI Industries, and remember the news came in about the InSwift Lab deal terminated. So that one was down 7%. Alkyla Mines down 5%. Tata Steel, interestingly, was down about 5% as well. But specialty chemicals certainly sulking. So the trade setup for today, viewers, I would presume, considering that while the Motor trading session is there, but considering that we have a long weekend, it is very unlikely that the world markets would go heavy into the Fed announcement, and therefore Indian markets even more so, because our reaction times are a lot lesser than what the other world markets have. So it's very unlikely that the world markets would go very heavy into the Fed announcement today. So doubt that Asia or India will have very large moves. Europe too, I would reckon, would probably not go heavy. The OPEC meet on Thursday can have implications for upstream oil companies. Remember, we might not be able to react to the OPEC decision. I don't quite know of the timing really. So whether the motor trading session will be there, will we post the OPEC decision or no, I'm not completely clued in. You might want to do your checks. And again, the OPEC meet might not give out something dramatic, but keep in mind that there is Fed today, OPEC tomorrow, and implications for both. I think the real estate flavor continues, as I showed you in the MOV function as well. The only difference on the specialty chemical side is that while a lot of people believe that good companies might start seeing buying, I somehow get a feeling that we'll not see too much of bottom fishing, and that's because company after company are reporting margin issues, and there is not enough clarity about whether the October to December quarter will also see a bit of a resurrection of the margin operational metrics, or will it continue to sulk, and therefore don't quite know if some of the spec chem companies or chemical companies at large. I mean, there is spec chem, which is Darti, Naveen, Vinati. Then there is mixed spec, if you will, the Deepak Nitrites, Lakshmi Organics of the world. I don't quite know if they'll see some strong bottom buying as yet. Maybe it is some time away. Let's wait and watch. Earnings today, there is SBI and Eicher Motors, and SBI will evoke reactions throughout the day. The numbers will come in during market hours likely, so keep that in mind. On the non-Nifty side, these are a few derivative names, by the way, which come out with numbers. Bata is very interesting. Aditya Birla Fashion too. I think there are a lot of conversation about if Nykaa is getting this, what ABFRL should get. Just completely disconnected models, I would reckon. I can understand Shopper Stop has about a 25% mix of cosmetics, and therefore you could compare that in a little way to Nykaa. ABFRL, I don't quite know. Nevertheless, watch out for these earnings. Stocks to watch. I think I will watch out for Bharti Airtel. The numbers looked interesting, viewers. So revenues higher than estimates, EBITDA margins largely in line, EBITDA slightly higher than estimates, of course, because the revenues too marginally higher. Net profit at 1134 crores, the estimates were 753 crores. So compared to Bloomberg estimates, Bharti numbers much higher. And I think we've seen that the company shown ARPU growth and customer addition and has outperformed Geo, which is a big thing for Airtel. I would reckon that this should augur well for Bharti Airtel. Now, CLSA's view is interesting. The target prices don't change too much, but the rating is a buy. The target price is 860. They are saying again that EBITDA and revenue ahead of estimates. The highest ever India broadband subscriber additions as per CLSA math, and no surprise there. And they believe that led by the 4G penetration for 60% of its own India mobile subscribers, 2G to 4G, which Jio is trying to poach from both Vodafone and Bharti. But they believe that 60% of Bharti's own subscribers will move to 4G. They forecast a 15% consolidated EBITDA CAGR by FY24 CLSA year. So let's wait and watch if all of this happens. If that does happen, it should augur well for Bharti Airtel. I would reckon today might see a bit of a positive reaction from the stock. It's not really run away ahead of the numbers, but let's wait and watch. Trent, I thought was interesting. It's the best ever quarterly revenue in Q2 for Trent. Revenues were up 126% to about 1,000 crores. They reached above the pre-COVID levels. The fashion business, which is Westside and Zudio, operated at 91% trading days versus 46% in Q1. Revenue from the online channel was up about 95% YOY. Gross margins expanded by 10%. 1,000 basis points to 52%, and the adjusted PAT was at 140 crores versus a loss of 48 crores YOY. Very good quarter. But the good guys or the leaders are showing. The men are getting separated from the boys per se. Of course, everything which is opening up is doing well. We've seen that with multiple hotel companies. We've seen that with these retailers. We've seen that with Phoenix Mills as well, right? The kind of numbers that they came out with. Incidentally, I think CLSA has upgraded the target of Phoenix Mills today. But yeah, everything opening up seems to be doing really well. So do watch out. In fact, in the stocks in focus, there is one more opening up play. I'll get to that. Okay, let me start. No, let me go to these at the last. First, HDFC Life or Exide, whichever. No, let's stick with that plate. It's the stocks in focus plate. So HDFC Life or Exide, whichever way you want it, but not that it's a surprise, but CCI has approved the acquisition. In case it brings any triggers, you know why. I doubt that this should bring about a trigger, but you never know. Market's a funny place. PNB Housing Finance. It's a bit of a disappointment after what the big boys have done, and most of these companies have done well, but clearly shows in the housing finance space at least, but clearly shows that PNB has issues of its own. NI down 19%, PAT down 25%. So maybe a bit of a soft. You could argue there are various reasons, and people will find reasons for this, but net, the reported numbers, not the best. Prince Pipes, I thought the numbers were good. Q2 revenue up 66%, EBITDA up 53%. And I think I was reading a review note We spoke about a bunch of internal metrics for Prince Pipes as well, which have done very well, including cash flows, etc. So do watch out. Could be an interesting one to monitor today. Lakshmi Organics, yet another chemical company wherein operational metrics looked horrendous, for lack of a better word. Revenues up 48%, margins halved from 10.2% or something to 5.14% or something like that. Very poor performance on the operational front end, which is why, despite a 48% bump up in revenues, the PAT is down 40%. Tells you a story or two, isn't it? Yes, the stock has come off quite a bit, but remember, from the issue price, it's gained quite a bit as well. Even at the current price, Lakshmi Organics is much higher than the issue price. Don't quite know, but usually whenever specialty chemical or chemical companies, this is not a special spec chem company, but whenever some of these companies have come out with bad numbers, the stocks have gotten punished. Deepak Nitrite, a case in point, Navin Fluorine, a case in point yesterday, alkyl amines, a case in point. I reckon Lakshmi Organics could be one more play. I may be wrong. I don't have a complete bottom-up idea of Lakshmi, but please be mindful of the fact that the numbers are not that great. Lastly, Ease My Trip, I was talking about, or Easy Trip Planners, I was talking about how the opening up plays are done well. This is a, by the way, the numbers are very small for Ease My Trip. Keep in mind, it's not a very large company, if you will. So 43 crores is the top line. There's some other income element to it as well, but even the bottom line is just 27 crores. It's not a very large company, but both revenues and profits up 3.4x, and that should be considered a good performance. So do watch out for Ease My Trip as well. So these are a few names that I thought were interesting to monitor in the session today. So do watch out for all of these. Sun Pharma and HPCL and some of the others might react on some brokerage name or two. So do watch out for those as well. Last but not the least, much that we thought that the supply chain issues are getting resolved, clearly the wait is not over. And why do I say that the wait is not over? Is because this is from a Bloomberg story that the largest shipping hubs across the world are facing elevated levels of congestion. They've spoken about Singapore, they've spoken about Greek ports. And speaking specifically about Singapore, they're saying that on Monday, near Singapore, the backlog was 22% above normal. 53 container ships anchored off the hub, which is the highest count since Bloomberg News started tracking the data in April. Tells you a story or two about what's happening in terms of congestion at key ports. Clearly there is pressure. And difficult to say maybe when these pressures would end. So let's wait and watch how it goes. Thanks so much for tuning into the Trade Setup viewers today. Have a safe, profitable day ahead. If you're stepping out, please stay masked up. And from all of us at BloombergQuint, to all of you, wishing you a very happy Diwali. Yes, don't forget to tune in if you want to hear an interesting conversation with Shankar Sharma and Sunil Singhania on Twitter Spaces. For all of you who don't know Twitter Spaces, just remember at 4:40 or 4:45 p.m. tomorrow, log into your Twitter app and you will see, if you follow me or BloombergQuint, you will see on the top an audio file going on live. You just click in and you enter. Maybe you get a chance to ask the question, what have you. But it could be an interesting conversation, so you may want to tune in for that. But more importantly, from the entire team at BloombergQuint, to you and yours, wishing you a very, very happy Diwali and Saal Mubarak.